My lecture is really the transition from the beam to energy, which will be tomorrow as the number one of this conference. And I was thinking that we have to talk about the indoor environment and ventilation in sustainable buildings, because this is the part of the maintenance. And I think so that that beam is important for the new building. But because we have in the world millions of old buildings which has to be renovated from the energy point of view, quality of life point of view, the beam, the 6D beam, is a very important way to find the cheapest and long-term adaptation of existing buildings to the new situation which we are going on. Renewable energy cannot be used in the buildings if we don't know how to optimal changing the envelope, how to optimal make the ventilation, and so on and so on. But I think so I will go directly only to the ventilation. This is one small problem and one small piece of the beam element, and I will be talking about the indoor environment requirement, particulates and human health, sustainable building characteristic, problem of renovated buildings, solutions and conclusions. You know, everybody, that 80% of our life, we are living in the closed rooms, in the buildings, and we would like to have a beautiful indoor air. We have like to have very nice temperature. World Health Organization prepare some standards. Of course, this is very nice, but I think so 50 to 70% of the population in the world cannot live in such a high quality environment. There are also different standards, and you can see here in this chart that we are not so sensitive for the temperature and the humidity. The range of the temperature changing and the humidity changing is different. But in this chart, we cannot see what is with velocity of the air in the room and what is the air pollution which is in the room present. Air pollution, indoor air pollution limitation are much less known to the people as the temperature, humidity, and so on. If you are looking on the data, we have different parts per million, parts per billion requirements, especially for CO2 or radon. But the World Health Organization tells us that there is about 8 million, I will show you later, more people devoted to the different disease when the indoor air is polluted, and also why is polluted. Ventilation is the conditio sine qua non. There is no problem. But to exposure to the airborne particulate matter is one of the most significant environmental risks for the people. If we have where is coming the air pollution? Mostly the air pollution in the room is coming from the outdoor. This means if we are ventilating the buildings, opening the windows, then we become in the room also the pollution. The pollution is different of we have the PM10. This means the particulates which are smaller, larger than 10 micrometer, and PM2.5, which are mostly in the urban area because of the travel, traffic, and so on. And this all pollution are coming in the room. There are also some pollution from the fireplaces and the cooking and so on, but normally the most air polluted air is coming from the outside. If you are looking where this pollution air started and how different type of the buildings are involved, we see that the homes are mostly we have for the homes, the pollution coming outside, we have the indoor pollution. In the school, the mostly pollution is coming indoor. And in offices, the most the pollution is coming from the outside. If we would like to have the sustainable building for the future, the air must be clean in the rooms, and sustainable building is the building which is made from sustainable material, low exergy, energy. Exergy is the working part of the energy. The sustainable building can need a very low amount of energy. Sustainable buildings have very tight envelope. They have appropriate windows area on south, west, east, and so on. And all the sustainable buildings at the moment, and maybe in the future, have the mechanical ventilation with heat recovery, and so on. The sustainable building has to be easy to maintenance. This means all installations in the building has to have long life and simple to maintain. And of course, there is also the sustainable building is the smart building. Is connected with the information technology, is the building which is connected with the BIM. What are the problems? The problem which are facing, especially in the last 10 years, that we are going to renovate the existing buildings. We have different directives, rules, national, international, and normally all existing buildings, they have low thermal insulation. Windows are with single or double glazing in the frames with large cracks. Outdoor environment in the towns, in the cities is increased with the air pollution, have the increased air pollution. There is also a lot of noise pollution. If you have the noise, you cannot open the windows. And of course, the people which is living in the existing building, 9 from 10 people breathe high polluted air. This is the World Health Organization report from last year. 7 million premature deaths because of exposure to small particulates smoke, especially the particulates less than P2.5 micrometer. And of course, WHO is warning that 91% of the world population is living in rooms with lower air quality as proposed by his recommendation. What to do? By the building renovation, we are missing integrated renovation approach because lack of capital, unsatisfactory planning, ownership in multifamily housing. We just heard that Slovenia has 88 private ownership, and of course of inconsistent subsidies. Most common problem we are facing that people is changing the windows without installation of mechanical ventilation in time of renovation. There is no money for the insulation. Results, we have sick building syndrome, low quality indoor environment, and a relative small exergy saving for heating. We have increased relative humidity in the space, we have growth of the fungus, etc. And of course, we have increased concentration of particulates, VOC, CO2, and so on, just to making very tight windows. Then, of course, we can ventilate. The problem is simple, but there are some pro and contra. But I think so that artificial ventilation for the renovated buildings is necessary. We have two possibilities: central ventilation, standard by new and some older office buildings with air conditioning, and we have possibility to make local ventilation, which is most useful solution by existing building renovation. Central ventilation is excellent if you have the good maintenance. You can imagine, I will not show you the ducts which we are opening after 20 years, by the ventilation of the buildings, especially for the return ducts. What is everything in the ducts of in these buildings? This is dangerous for the health. We have a lot of emittents and so on. So that sometimes the central ventilation is okay, but the condition is excellent maintenance. Local ventilation, it is undisputed fact that also recognized numerous experts, meaning that the local ventilation system provides a healthier, more efficient ventilation compared to central ventilation system. I will show you later what is the advantages of local ventilation. This is, if we are comparing this central system with lot of ducts, investment, controls, dampers, and so on, for the local ventilation, we don't need any duct work. It's simple installation in different rooms according to the user need. There is extremely nice operation flexibility. It's cost efficient. On the market, we have now very high quality product, and functionality is excellent because all this modern local ventilation are built as the big one central air conditioning system using modern IT technology. This is one example how the modern local ventilation units is working. We have outdoor grills, we have motorized damper for closing the building envelope in standby time. We have high efficiency outdoor filter with efficiency of 2.5 micrometer particulates more than 50 to 70%. Only the viruses are going in, all the rest is staying in the filter. We have the counterflow heat exchanger with efficiency between 70 and 95%. We have the supply net house exhaust low noise fan. We have indoor air filter. And of course, we have the control units with information technology capability for fan speed control, indoor and outdoor temperature and humidity sensor, VOC, CO2 sensors, radon sensors on request, Wi-Fi, remote control with timer, movement sensor or video camera which is installed in the local ventilation unit, and you can find with your phone what is going in home in so on. How the local ventilation unit is operating. The units can be operated locally by remote control like this one, or via telephone, via Wi-Fi, via PC, and so on. Units are most advanced equipment in-house and prepared for the present and future smart building. Some of them have also electric preheater to prevent freezing in heat exchanger in cold days. Unit can operate as the exhaust ventilation, as only the supply ventilation, and of course this last is very interesting for summer night cooling of the rooms. Operating advantages of local ventilation units in apartments, office buildings, hotels, motels, etc. is in their flexibility, in dependability of operation by hours, days, and weeks. For hotels, for the order, it's very easy to control with the unit like speak up, show us, to know where is working and what is working, how is the quality of air in the room and so on. Unit are in operation when we need to have fresh air and clean air in the room, and not always. What is the energy? Exergy consumption. Energy cannot be consumed, only exergy can be consumed. With the new standard, there is proposed specific power input for local ventilation unit, and this is limited to 0.11 to 0.40 watt per cubic meter an hour. And the best unit in the class 0, they need per year, per cubic meter, less than 1 kilowatt hour of electricity. And in the class 6, this is the last class, we need 3.5 kilowatt hours for the per cubic meter for the operation. I'm sorry, there the watt is the watt hours. The needed amount of outdoor air is depending on the occupation, of course. And we can supply more or less air. All the ventilation unit, local ventilation unit, have the speed control, and you can change the air supply from almost zero to the maximum. And what is very interesting also, in the United States this year, in February, has been showed on the Congress of ASHRAE, the new electronic air purifier, which is new indoor air scrubber for chemical washing of the indoor air and the outside air volume can be down for 60 to 80% without problem of quality, indoor air quality. The scrubber removes safely all molecular contaminants, including CO2, formaldehyde, and in full range, all organic volumetric compounds. This is what we have now on the market, and for the sustainable buildings, we have two possibilities: provide central system or local system. And the calculation and the maintenance of both has to be decisive for the decision maker what to do. For the old buildings, 300,000 in 600,000 in Slovenia, millions in Europe, I think so it is very difficult that we can by renovation introduce central ventilation system. But we have to clean the air. The ventilation is not necessary because of the lack of oxygen. The problem is the emission of the particulate. This means the polluted air has to be cleaned. And so that is what we have to do with the sustainable buildings. For the conclusion, I will say renovation of existing buildings make them more tight, similar to the modern sustainable low exergy or zero fossil exergy building. Both need artificial ventilation to provide the occupant healthy environment. Between the central and local ventilation principles, authors prefer local ventilation system because of high flexibility, simple installation, energy efficiency, low investment cost, and high quality of the product on the market. The new product for the local ventilation are a new stone into direction to the smart building with their connectivity and flexibility which we have. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Is
Professor Novak,
some
for
question?
your presentation.
Yeah.
Are there any questions to this presentation?
Maybe one question?
Yeah,
regarding the Barroso directive, what is your opinion? What was the impact that was made regarding ERP and what was introduced in 1st of January 2018 with new requirements with the directive for local units?
What is my opinion?
Yes.
Yeah, my opinion is for the new buildings can be taken both. For the old buildings, I prefer local ventilation. But also for the hotels, for the new buildings which have no air conditioning as basic system for the heating and cooling of the buildings, is also local ventilation the best solution. This is my opinion, and we are working on this to have the best product. And what is interesting, this local ventilation unit can be also the weather station, because we have all the data: outside temperature, humidity, inside the temperature, humidity. We have the pressure, air pressure, and we can follow the change of the weather. This is the weather station. And it's very simple to see on your mobile phone what is the weather at home. And if you add, this is the next generation of the local ventilation, the movement sensor or video camera, because the new video camera is very cheap, and the transfer of video to the with the application to the phone is no problem. You can always check what is going at home in each room where you have this local ventilation. And this is excellent. Of course, also some other can look on this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks again.